where we could see some of these spin up tornadoes. Like Brett mentioned earlier, I know we could see. We've already had a few reported, a few that have been spotted, and it's very possible that we could continue to see a few more of these. So, Sarah, do you have anything that you'd like to add? Or Brett, I know.
Well, I was going to go back to that the storm southwest of Shreveport that you showed. Can you go back to the velocity signature on that?
Absolutely.
And yeah, I don't know if we can pop that up here on the wall. It was interesting to note the National Weather Service said that there was a confirmed large and dangerous tornado near Stonewall, southwest of Shreveport. And so that concern would be that, yeah, it moves into Panola County and maybe Harrison County within the next, say, half hour or so. So that's west of Shreveport, south of Wascom, and it is essentially moving back into northeastern Panola County and southeastern Harrison County. And then you have another spin up there that is close to Tatum. I just wanted to go over that because I just read that the Weather Service had confirmed that there was a large and dangerous tornado, Sarah.
Certainly, Brett. And something I wanted to point out, you mentioned this as well. This is being tagged as a particularly dangerous situation, which is one of the most life-threatening types of tornadoes that we can find. I'm going to go back up and I'm going to read directly from the warning that the National Weather Service issued. So this is for Gregg, Texas, Harrison County, or I should say Gregg County, Harrison County, Panola County, and Rusk County. This is the one that goes until 3 p.m. So a damaging tornado. This is the National Weather Service, what they're saying. They're saying it is a life-threatening situation. Flying debris may become deadly to those caught without shelter. Mobile homes could be destroyed. Considerable damage to homes, businesses, and vehicles is likely, and complete destruction is possible. Again, that is what the National Weather Service is saying for this tornado warning that is out toward Panola and Rusk County, as well as toward Gregg County. So make sure that you are in your safe place if you're there. That includes parts of Longview, out toward Harlesville. Easton, you guys are in that extremely dangerous situation, tornado warning. Gum Springs, you guys are there as well as out toward Darko. Make sure that you are in your safe place. That means the lowest level of the building that there is. You want to make sure that you are staying as far on the inside as you can. You want to put as many walls between you as the outside as possible. Also, if you're worried and you can't get to an interior room, if you have a mattress or a blanket, you can put that up against a window. That'll help to give you just an extra layer of protection. Also, if you're in a mobile home and you can safely get to a sturdy shelter, that is going to keep you much safer than a mobile home will. Now, we do have those tornado warnings in effect all across. Not all of them are tagged as that particularly dangerous situation, but a few of them are, so make sure that you're staying weather aware. Brett?
All right, so let's take a look outside here because I can hear the rain, and I think Sarah had mentioned it. It was raining sideways. We've got the horizontal rain here with some of these very strong wind bands that are coming through, and you can see the way the rain is. It is indeed almost falling horizontally across. This is going to be Broadway looking off to the south. We have it pointed in this direction just because this is the direction that the heavy rain is coming from. We want to see those sort of waves of heavy rain come over the city of Tyler. If you can see the wind starting now to rattle the camera around a little bit. Another good view might be Kilgore. We had a storm that moved through parts of Gregg County. Kilgore camera looks kind of to the east, and so if we have that camera up eventually, we'll be able to give you a look at the storm as that storm is continuing to move north and eastward. But heavy rain right here in parts of Smith County right now, but no tornado warning in Smith County. Let's go back to the radar, and we'll show you the current tornado warnings that are ongoing. And before I get there, we also have these flash flood warnings in purple. That's Cherokee County, southern Smith County, Rusk County, right here, Laneville, Nacogdoches County, and then you come over, this is going to be Shelby County, Panola County, and northeastern Rusk County. All right, so that's the flash flood warnings, and a new one just added for southwestern parts of Shelby County, most of San Augustine County, and the southern half of Nacogdoches County. So 3 flash flood warnings. Now let's go talk about the flood or the tornado warnings that we have. Of course, we have this very dangerous one that is headed back over into parts of northeastern Panola and southeastern Harrison County toward the city of Marshall. That's the one that had the large and destructive tornado tag on it. Then you have this one here that's moving out of Panola County, swiping across the western half of Harrison County, moving up into northeastern Gregg County. That one goes until 3 p.m.
And it's just as the damage goes this morning, what you're seeing is actually a dog coming into our live shot. I think it's a dog. I'm not sure. But anyway, there's some sort of creature below me. And really all that's been affected is what's supposed to be a road right below my feet. And it's just basically covered in mud. But other than that, there's not much damage to report. So some great news out of Utah County, but of course a lot of effort that was put into this to make sure none of these communities were affected, and of course the families were kept safe. Jenny Hardman is tracking traffic. We noticed down here that the roads weren't too bad. How are they looking throughout the rest of the
Yes, and Morgan, I hope that's a dog too. If not, go get in the truck.
Yeah,
Chase is freaking out. He doesn't think
of Nacogdoches County, and we've had a couple of little spin-ups that have shown up on some of these images here in Gregg County and also parts of Rusk County. Nothing back here into Smith County. Right now, this is a solid area of heavy rain.
iExcel helps my children learn at their own pace, starting off with easier questions and slow.
Spin up quickly, as we have seen.
Kiana Herden loved life.
She's a very intelligent kid.
Richard Herden says his only child didn't mind letting the world in on it from time to time via Facebook Live.
It's not going to be a dull moment.
But the 25-year-old's live stream from a friend's El Dorado home Wednesday turned into something worse. The video starts out with her singing. Kiana responds to viewers and even puts the spotlight on her youngest of two kids. What we won't show, but was seen in the video, Kiana falls and the phone drops out of her hands with her and her son off screen.
I haven't actually seen the video. I don't have the strength to watch it right now.
But Kiana's Uncle Jeffrey did.
It was real hard.
He says he could hear his niece struggle to breathe and her son scream in the background. All the while, the number of eyes on her grew.
The view went from 2 or 3 to a whole too many for it to be such a tragic live shot.
He says a friend of hers showed up nearly 30 minutes after his niece hit the floor. Kiana's father wishes someone watching would have acted sooner.
It's amazing for somebody to sit there and see somebody take their last breath or hear them take their last breath and nobody did anything. So I want to take my hats off, and I think everybody that actually did something.
It would be her final Facebook Live.
If Kiana's going to leave this earth, it's going to be live. You know, it's going to be top of the moment.
He says losing his daughter is the hardest thing he's ever had to face.
For her to leave 2 kids so young, so early, I don't know how to deal with it.
That could get pushed down to the surface as this whole cell and all of these winds lift northward. Sarah's just pinging on another area where it's showing 56. So you're seeing 50, 55-mile-an-hour winds. That'll knock down some weakened trees for sure. Could tear a tin roof off of a building. Could certainly scatter lawn furniture, knock over some trash cans and things of that nature in a neighborhood. Anything that's not secured. These stronger winds could knock down weakened trees, branches onto homes and things of that nature. So we are really feeling the brunt of what was left of Hurricane Beryl as it went through, made landfall this morning at Matagorda. Then it had really the right side of the storm went right over the city of Houston. They had a tough time with strong winds and heavy rainfall. And now as it has been moving northward, it continues to produce either tornadoes, quick spin up tornadoes, 2, straight line wind damage, and 3, we've got flash flooding going on. So really about everything that we expected and predicted when we started talking about Beryl making it into East Texas. And we first brought this up on Friday when the data and the track of the storm kind of shifted a bit. And as it shifted, it looked like it was making a beeline for East Texas. And so that is the way things have played out. So hopefully we gave you 3 days advance notice and you were able to sort of get ready for the storm. And now you're just kind of riding it out with us. All right, we're going back over here to Wascom. So there it is. Wascom, that storm is trying to move back toward the Wascom area. Last June, we had a tornado in Wascom. I think we had another little spin up earlier this year in the Wascom area. So we'll go back to velocity on that. These Titan indicators here are moderate range tornadic vortex signatures. And there has been in this area right there, that red and that green, it could be a very tight rotation that could be producing a tornado east of Crossroads in the Wascom area, right in there. In fact, if we can maybe turn off those Titan indicators and sort of drill down on that area south of Wascom, right in there. So there may be a tornado, and that's going to be in parts, that's going to be near Elysian Fields, southeast of Crossroads, northwest of Bethany, and in there itself, anybody that lives out in that area, south of Interstate 20, so there's Wascom, that's going to be south of 20, near Elysian Fields, and you may be getting hit with a small spin-up tornado, and that could be doing some damage in that area. I did see another area of rotation just out here to the left side of the screen. Looked like there was another one that was popping up and trying to fire. It was also in a tornado-warned area. There's Gill. Not right now. It looks like Gill is outside of everything that we're seeing. Crossroads, I would be in my safe place right now as this cell moves to the northwest. This is a tornado warning until 3 p.m. Harrison, Panola County. That's the portion of Panola. That's the portion of Harrison. It might go up here, so Crossroads might be outside of that. Was there another cell back here to the, oh, that's what I was looking at, back toward Walker's Mill. So that's the cell that may be producing 70-mile-an-hour straight-line winds, and there might be perhaps a tornado trying to spin up there south of Interstate 20 to the east of Longview. Just a small little spin up, but yeah, there's a little tight couplet, green and red, right next to each other. So Sarah, let's zoom in on that and see what we're getting right in there toward Hallsville. So we could be getting something north of Easton and Gum Springs. So in that area south of Interstate 20. So if you live in any of these areas, Easton, Gum Springs, Darko, please go to your safe place right now. Hallsville, be in your safe place. And Longview, just continue to stay in your safe place. Continue to watch our coverage either on the TV, maybe you've taken it into the closet.
You too.
Into the bathroom.
Pull conversion and retention targets out of the hat.
And you've been staying there. In fact,
you magicians.
Another area where we could be seeing.
Should we tell them we're using Zapier or go with the magician thing?
So
my team built automation that notifies account owners when leads are hot. That's magical. Well, Ops uses AI and automation to give support reps everything they need in one view. Sales does the same in our CRM. No way yours is better.
By that storm, so that's going to be Springs south of Hallsville. So if you live in Hallsville, please head to your safe place. Let's track this area right here as it moves to the northeast and heads somewhere close to Longview. So hopefully you get everybody in Longview out ahead of the storm. If you are watching us or listening to us from Longview, if you're watching us on your app and you have your radio with you, or if your phone's about to die, you can switch over, plug in a radio. If you still have your power, you can listen to us at Jack FM 106.5 Jack FM, Kicks 105.7, and then the Wings 104.1 and 103.7, and of course in Minnesota 96.7. So we're going to go back to the regular programming when the threat is passed, but now we're going to continue to stay with these storms, and these tornado warnings continue for the next 20 minutes or so. It may be extended. We may be on for the rest of the afternoon and into the evening hours. So there you go. Longview is in the path of that little signature there of debris flying, and that would be at 2:52. So you've got about 13 minutes in the Longview area, Judson at about 3 o'clock, and then East Mountain at about 3:09. So we're giving you a good 20 minutes to half hour advance notice on that cell, and that cell could be a tornado. We showed you that little bit of rotation within that cell, and so it looks like it is producing some kind of damage. Of course, we'll try to get the crews out there where we safely can do that. If you safely can share any pictures with us, we certainly would appreciate that. But the important thing is safety. We want you to take your chances unless you're in your shelter. If we say something that's coming toward Longview or Judson, I say that, and we have a lot of tornado warnings going on. Well, I think we're all going to get through this okay. We're not on the other side of the time. Just a lot of rain. There's some cleanup of some storm damage. But the important thing is that you're safe, that your family's healthy, they're safe, and that we keep everybody out ahead of the storm. We keep everybody safe. So that's what's most important to me. That's what's important to Sarah and Savannah this afternoon. So just stick with us. So we're going to ride you out. We're just going to continue to ride the storm out here as it moves northward. We know that the center of the storm itself is likely not going to get north and east of Tyler until maybe 9 or 10 o'clock tonight. But the worst of the storm should pass by about 6 or 7. So it's about 2:45 now. We got about 4 hours to go where the storm could still produce some spin ups and wind and, of course, flash flooding and rain. Again, it's a tropical system. It's not a system that we typically think of here in East Texas. We get lines of thunderstorms, 45 minutes, it's over. Maybe you have another one that comes through and you got another 45 minutes. Maybe the storms last, a couple hours, but we're talking here a situation where we've got ongoing warnings that could stretch 6, 7, 8 hours. That's just the kind of system this is. So, but we got to stay with it for the duration. So we'll keep an eye on those cells as they lift north. Waiting for a new scan to come in. When that new scan comes in, it'll give us a better idea of where everything is headed. But again, if you live in Longview, please be in your safe place. Judson, East Mountain, Grayston, Gilmer, and Betty at this time. So looks like down toward Panola and Bethany. I'll pass it over to you guys. Looks like there's that little cell that we were looking at earlier. Looks like it's strengthened a little bit again.
Yeah, it does, Brett. We're looking at that cell out there toward Panola at the moment. We're continuing out to watch it because it does look like it's kind of starting to suck in a couple of, seeing that in draft in there, which can be a sign that it is strengthening. So just to the southeast of Crossroads, out toward Bethany, we are tracking that. I'm going to go ahead and put this in our reflectivity so you can see if there's any rotation going on there. Now, it does look like we aren't seeing organized rotation on our radar, but our Titan indicators are popping, so definitely some gusty winds out there. You are still in a tornado warning if you're in that area, out to the east, out toward Wascom, toward Jonesville, out toward Panola, Bethany. You are all still under that tornado warning. Remember, this is going to continue with you all the way until 3 o'clock. And of course, as long as there is a tornado warning in place, we'll continue to be on air with you. Otherwise, a couple of tornado warnings continuing all across the area today. A couple of flash flood warnings as well out to the west or to the south, and a flood or a tornado watch in place as well. Brett?
Hey, let's go back to that Longview one. The National Weather Service is saying that they are. This is a considerable. We were showing you the near Hallsville. We were showing you the debris on that, and they're saying that there is a tornado involved in this cell right there. So that's a tornado. And they're saying that it's considerable and it's damaging and it is very concerning. So we need to stay with this. In fact, if we can zip down on this just a little bit. In fact, sometimes we need their gum springs. So there's Equipment Park Longview. So I really need everybody to be into the Longview area. So this could be throwing some of that debris all the way up to 281 around the east side of Longview currently. So here's downtown. There's Moberly. So this is all headed toward Longview right now. There's Highway 80 coming out of Longview going to the east. Let's look at that cell again, get that back into view there. So that's the cell that the Weather Service is saying it's a considerable tornado. They're calling it a considerable tornado in the chat room. So obviously, but they have not put like any kind of hashtag on it or hatch marks on it to say that there is something that has been confirmed. But it certainly looks like it by looking at the debris signature here. So if we go back to velocity, and again, that looks like it's headed right to the east side of town. I don't see it. Now, we had sampled 78 mile an hour winds with that earlier, so now it's jumped up here toward Hallsville. So it's right in here toward Walker's Mill. So this is the tornado as it's crossed east, now west of Hallsville, still with 66 mile an hour winds. So it's likely right in here. In fact, if you look at it, it does look like there is just kind of a little spin with those velocity indicators up to about 66 miles an hour. I wonder if, Sarah, if you could take this off and just put this into motion maybe one time and see if we can see just the way yeah, look at it. Did you see that? What a spin. Watch this. This was really spinning when we were looking at it at Darko. It's just sometimes hard to see until you get it into motion a few times. You can really start to see that spinning. So let's make sure that we remember to, we're going to step your way through that. See it right there. So when we kicked on it, it was, when we saw that earlier and we pinged on it, hopefully we got everybody to a safe place. Now, we didn't know for sure. When you look at it, you get like one indication in a scan, and then you have to wait and see if there's any sort of confirmation from spotters sometimes. Because remember, we're sitting between two radar sites, one at Fort Worth and one at Shreveport. And Longview's a little closer to the Shreveport site, but just looking at that, the fact that, you could see that rotation and it really showed up as it was spinning past Darko, past Hallsville, and now back to the west. So Longview, anybody out on this east side of town, hopefully you are in your safe place right now. But we were looking at those winds and they looked really strong, and it's just a matter of trying to confirm things, but keeping everybody in the safe place is the best thing to do. So let's zoom in on some of that that area here. Again, there's Longview, there's Airline Road, and so all of this in here, and I have a feeling this looks like this is rotating back here to the northwest toward Wiley Page Road and back toward Judson, and then Teneryville might be on the edge of this if it were to lean and come back to the west. Remember, these storms are rotating counterclockwise within an entirely rotating or counterclockwise rotating storm. So Longview out to the east, Hallsville right in here. Let's see some of these streets down here. There's Eden Drive. Here's 259. So there's the loop, and this is going to go right up toward Maxey Road. So if you live near Maxey Road, Lobo Stadium would be perhaps watching this very carefully. If you're in Lobo Stadium or live near the high school, I would head to my safe place. Tryon Road, I'd head to my safe place as this storm heads back. This goes till 3 o'clock, so 14 more minutes on that storm system. There's Tryon, there's 259 heading north out of town toward McCann and Airline Road. And if we widen it out a little bit, we might be able to see, this whole area, I think right in here. Can we play that again or step us through just to give us an idea of where this is? It looked like it was coming across from Gum Springs, and then you'll see right there, and then a tornado, TVS popped up, and then now, so it's headed back more toward Judson. So maybe let's track this back toward Judson, Glenwood area and see if we can keep everybody out ahead, give you an idea. So that's Diana, that's up toward Gilmer. Granted, we've issued several different tracks on this, but now that we have a better idea of perhaps a confirmed spin up. So Judson 254, Glenwood 302, Gilmer 313. Again, that's outside of the tornado warned area. It doesn't mean it's not going to continue to move in that path into Upshur County. Brumley and then Winnsboro at 345, but that's still an hour away. The most concerning times would be Glenwood or Judson, and anywhere else we can zoom in on this. Harleton, you're just outside of the cell itself or outside of the warned box. So you're watching that storm very carefully. Gladewater, you're also just outside of that. But let's zoom in. Let's zoom down just a little bit. We know that is northeast Longview currently, and on the northeast side of Longview, but it's headed back toward Judson. This is the area that Weather Service is saying is a considerable tornado. So we had looked at debris inside that cell before. We can check that again here in just a second and see if there's any more. Within that, it did look like there was some debris that was being lofted. And now that debris has been lofted into Longview and back toward Judson. So there is a chance that cell actually kind of turned and rotated back to the west a little bit. Or it's I think it's in here throwing that, lofting that debris up into the sky, of course, because of the spin of the storm itself. But hopefully if you're in Longview and you're in your safe place, that warning does go throughout toward Judson. Does not include East Mountain, but it does include this whole area here. So we have debris in the air, maybe some damage on the east side of Longview, damage on the south side of Judson or in Judson itself. And if not, hopefully you are in your safe place, have stayed in your safe place. Want everybody to be safe, praying for the folks out there that everybody made it through that spin up as best they can with that cell. These things are spinning up pretty quickly, but that is a real signature of damage in the Longview area, north of Longview. In fact, if we can zoom in just a little bit, so there's going to be Teneryville and Spring Hill. That's what I was looking for. And Lobo Stadium and Bill Owens Parkway. So that went up Montclair Street. So if you're anywhere in there, there may be the damage heading in your direction. Please be in your safe place right now. If you're in Spring Hill, Teneryville, Pine Tree Road, Eden Drive, Lobo Stadium, live near the high school or near the stadium, please be in your safe place. Longview, anywhere north of Interstate 80, head there. And if you're not there already, just make sure that you weren't by any kind of windows Try to stay away from windows if the windows can get broken by tornadoes, and then that flying glass can break and cause some injuries. So that is a serious situation that we have right now. And I'm sure we have some other tornado warnings, but to me, that was the one that the Weather Service really jumped on. So have you guys seen anything else on from Weather Service? I mean, that to me is our most concerning storm right now, at least within as close a proximity to a larger town like Longview. I know we had the other one over toward Wascom, and that one right there toward Crossroads, but that is outside now of the warned area. So we'll see. I mean, we can go back to velocity and see if what happened there is that that debris just got lofted outside of it. There's a chance with all that rotation, it lofts the debris outside of the warning area, believe it or not. So, and the warning of the circulation itself continues in one path. But there it is. So now we're showing up another TVS. Let's go back in here again. North side of Longview up toward Teneryville. So we're getting another TVS showing up toward Judson. And again, this might be a little bit behind. We'll go back over to Velocity west. This is going to be east of 259. Well, there it is. Okay, so we got another that is starting to spin back up again. East side of Longview. There's George Ritchie Road. Please, if you live anywhere close to that, please be in your safe place. That's a serious storm. It's tightening back up as it heads through the north side of Longview and up toward Judson. So, and north of also Interstate 80. If we drill down there just a little bit farther on, maybe get a couple more city streets. Okay, so we've got Airline Road, we've got Creekmont Lane, we've got McCann Road. Anywhere, and if I'm saying these streets, please head to your safe place. Tryon, Maxey. This is what we call our Titan indicator. So we're using some mathematical equations to figure out what's going on inside that storm. We can click on that or turn it off. But let's click on it and see what it says. This is going to give us some probabilities of perhaps a tornado. It's going to give us, so the tornado impact here is almost up to a 5. So that's a medium range with wind. So there is wind and possibly a tornado. There's probably a tornado. I mean, the National Weather Service is saying that there is a dangerous tornado, considerable damage being lofted into the air from that storm. That's moving northwest at 32 miles an hour, at least according to our computer system. So let's turn that off and just give a look at what we're seeing here. So that's going to be this whole area of circulation. And when we look at it this closely, I mean, it looks like it's pretty wide, but remember, we've drilled down pretty close here to the east side of Longview, and this is likely sort of shifted back to the west just a little bit. So tornado warning now is Camp, Gregg, Harrison, Upshur County. So this is now prompted a new tornado warning that does go into Upshur County. It does include Gilmer and Betty and Ore City and Brumley, and this goes until 3:45. So you've got, that looks considerable, Sarah. That looks like we've got, and it looks like it just popped up another indicator, or that's on the other computer system there. So.
Yeah, certainly, Brett. I am concerned about this. And the National Weather Service, when they issued this original warning, they were tagging it as considerable damage. They are saying it is a particularly dangerous situation, which is a specific tag that they give it when it could be life-threatening. So Longview, make sure that you're staying in your safe place. And with this new tornado warning, it does not have that same tag on it. But looking at the very organized rotation of this storm, I would suspect that we're going to get some damage as this continues to move out to the northwest. So I'm going to zoom in and get a couple other cities. Ashland, go in your safe place right now. That tornado is going to be near you very quickly. Glenwood, make sure that you're doing that. If anyone is heading out on 154, that's not a good day to do that. Make sure that you are staying in a safe place. Gilmer, make sure you are in your safe place. Delrose, Betty, Stamps, you're in that tornado warning as well. Ore City, that cuts right through the center of downtown. If you're in the west, make sure that you're in your safe place. And in the east, it's not a bad idea to go to your safe place as well. New Mountain, you're also in that tornado warning. Out toward Ewell, toward Brumley, Lafayette, you're in that as well. Pine, it just stops short of your city, as well as out toward Ebenezer. Again, some counties included are Camp, Gregg, Harrison, and Upshur, and those are parts of those. So I'm going to go ahead and switch back over to correlation, see if we're seeing any more debris being lofted in the air. This is definitely showing something. I would not be surprised if we have some decent, potentially some tree branches or maybe even some roof shingles being lifted for areas where you're seeing the yellows and the greens. That's what we're seeing. So non-meteorological things. This is going to continue that new tornado warning for areas up to the north. That's going through 3:45, so a little bit under an hour on that. Now, this is tightening up pretty quickly. I'm going to switch back over to velocity. That way we can just kind of watch it. We have a storm, all right, we have our Titan indicator. I'm going to turn that off. And I want you to just track. You're going to see it looks like almost a little divot, and I apologize for comparing it to this, but it kind of looks a little bit like a belly button. You're going to see it continue to tighten up, and essentially the tighter it is, the more intense that tornado most likely is. So watch it tighten up over long view. That's where we start to really see it. And it's going to continue. It starts to shift a little bit out to the west, though. That was about 10 minutes ago. And then it's going to continue that westward track over the next, it appears, hour. That's according to what the National Weather Service thinks. So let me put a track on it so we can get a better timeline on when that is going to get to you. But again, if you are under that tornado warning, make sure that you are in your safe place. This looks like a very considerable tornado. So, we just got a new tornado warning. I'll get to that in just a second, but if you're in Jefferson, make sure that you're in your safe place. Gilmer, this first tornado is going to get to you closer to 3:15. Betty, closer to 3:16. Pittsburgh, around 3:30. Newsom, closer to 3:34. Winsboro, closer to 3:40. Picton, closer to 3:49. And Como, closer to 3:55 if it does continue out that way. Now, we did get a new tornado warning in just out to the east. This one is tagged as, it appears that it was a spotted tornado. That's what those hashed marks usually mean. So that includes Jefferson, Woodlawn, you need to be in your safe place. Prospect, make sure that you are going to the lowest level of the building. You probably heard us say it about 1 million times, but make sure you are respecting the polygon. If you were in that tornado warning, go to your safest place. Usually a closet or a bathroom is best. Towards Lancaster, if you're in that tornado warning as well. This is going to go until, let me see, 3:45. And again, this was a spotted tornado. You can see it popping up on our radar over there. So let me throw another track on it as it continues up to the northwest. This will again give us a little bit of a better track. So if you hear your city, make sure that you are going to your safe place. Baldwin, that's going to get to you in the next 5 minutes or so. Jefferson, it's almost there, around 3:10. Linden, closer to 3:30, as well as Tortue Springs. Dangerfield, if it continues to hold, you are outside of that warning box, but still make sure that you are staying weather aware. It's going to get closer to 3:45. Naples, closer to 3:50. And Cookeville, if it continues at the same pace and going the same direction, closer to almost 4 o'clock. But this is starting to rotate because it is a tropical storm, so it could continue to kind of arc out to the west and impact areas that are not under that watch box, which are slightly out to the west. So make sure that you are staying weather aware over the next little bit. Brett?
Yeah, okay, so we're going to check out over here on the big monitor. We've got another radar product here. Savannah Hale's been watching this cell here, and she said it just tightened back up, and so it is a confirmed tornado spotted by trained weather spotters. That's what those black lines, that hatched mark means. There's the cell itself. There's Jefferson. So if you live in Jefferson, please head to your safe place right now. That's a serious storm, a serious tornado. It was stronger back towards Shreveport. This is the same cell we tracked out of Shreveport. It weakened. It canceled tornado warning, and then it re-strengthened. Now we got a new tornado warning. We have a bright red against that green, bright green, I should say, against that red, and a pretty good indication that we've got a good couplet going, and we've got a tornado also happening at this time. So that tornado warning for that portion of the cell goes until 3:45. So best thing to do now would be to track that, Savannah, and see where that is headed as it moves up to the northeast. Our Titan indicator at times has been popping on with these cells. I think they're moving, northeast roughly 50 miles an hour. So they're really racing. When they're moving from the southeast to the northwest, these storms are just booking it and headed back in that direction. So Jefferson, which we just talked about, 3:15. So you got 15 minutes to get to your safe place in Jefferson. Take your CBS 19 mobile app or your radio and follow along. You can watch us on the app. If you've got your TV in there, all the better. Linden, 3:35, and then up toward Bryan's Mill, about 3:57. So just moving back into northeastern parts of Harrison County and then up into Marion County. So a good portion of Marion County is in that tornado warning right now, and just a sliver or a part of Harrison County northeast of Marshall. Marshall, you are not in the tornado warning at this time. The other cell that we've been watching is this Longview tornado, which again, radar confirmed tornado according to the National Weather Service. So we'll zoom in on this and bring this up center and make that center in your screen here. And this cell here with our Titan indicator also showing some moderate rotation within that cell. It's strong enough that the Weather Service does think that there is a tornado that is occurring. And when we look at the tornado impact, though, according to our Titan indicator, it has come down, but the wind impact is still there. That's a tornado warning that does, oh, there's another one down to the south for Nacogdoches County that has just popped up. So let's go down and check that one out. That's Nacogdoches, Panola, and Rusk County, and that includes the city of Mount Enterprise. And so that also includes the city of Henderson. So we've got Nacogdoches, Panola, Rusk County till 3:45. That is Dotson, Laneville. Biggest city inside this box right now is going to be Henderson. The cell itself, the rotation itself, again, very difficult to pick out right now, but as we've seen, a lot of these are being warned and then the spin-ups are occurring. So they're gaining momentum. They have enough wind inside that storm that all it does is takes a little extra oomph. They move into an area where we have a little more turning in the atmosphere that resides. They move into that area, and that little bit of extra energy that they get when they move into that area provides just that enough spin to create a quick spin-up tornado. So a lot of these tornado warnings are coming in advance of that. So again, Henderson, back to your safe place. Laneville, Dotson, back to your safe place. Let's zoom in on that since we don't really have an area that we can pinpoint, but this looks like maybe east of Henderson or west of Henderson. There's a brighter return. We know Mount Enterprise is there, Pine Hill. I would head to my safe place in Pine Hill. Anywhere up along 259 from Henderson all the way down to Mount Enterprise, you are in that tornado warning right now. Coming out of Henderson, going to the north, let's track up there. And going north on 259, we're coming up. Overton is not. Kilgore is close, but now you're getting very close to the Gregg County line and the city of Kilgore and the city of Overton. So a lot of rural area out here. Doesn't mean that that's any less important. It just means that we really can't talk about a city, but we can talk about the county of Rusk County being involved in that tornado warning. All right, let's go back and look at which portions of Nacogdoches and Panola County are currently in that tornado warning. And it looks like it's going to be a very small portion of Nacogdoches County. That is just the northern end of the county, and then a very small portion of Panola County. So this is essentially a Rusk County tornado warned storm. Again, and it's radar indicated. So that just got dropped. So that goes until 3:45. All right, so we'll leave that storm for right now, and then we'll pan back up to the north where we've got these other, I'd say, more impressive looking returns where we know the Weather Service has been talking about a considerable radar confirmed tornado here. That was, remember, near Hallsville. So we've tracked this all the way up now north of Longview, headed toward Gilmer. So look at the direction of the movement it's gone. It's gone from the south back to the northwest. So rotating again around a larger area of low pressure associated with Beryl. And as those cells move northward, they're also turning counterclockwise. And so eventually they twist and turn enough that we've got another tornado warning ongoing. This cell here, interesting that our Titan indicator is showing just a green when you've got a bright red and bright green against that. Savannah, I wonder if we can zoom in, maybe turn off the Titan indicator and zoom in as close as we can on that cell. That is going to be Cass, Harrison, Marion County till 3:45. And again, it looks like it's out over some open country. Good news there for sure. There's uncertain. Caddo Lake is out in this area, so it's not headed there. The velocity on it, though, now just showing up 43 with gate-to-gate shear at about 26. So we'll maybe check out both of those areas on that shear and see if there's a stronger area. So about 56 miles an hour total going in and away from the radar. So yeah, so we might be getting maybe a week or it might be strongly rotating at this time. But it does look like there could be a tornado, well, and it is under a tornado warning right now. But again, that's going to be this portion of Harrison County heading up to Cass and Marion County. All right, so that's that cell. That's east of Highway 59. That's confirmed with the hash marks. My big concern is for the folks in Jefferson. Hopefully they are in their safe place. Let's go back in and investigate this one. This has been a really tough storm, and it continues to just last and continue to spin and continue to move back to the northwest. So here's Gilmer. If you're in Gilmer, please head to your safe place. You're under a tornado warning. East Mountain, I think you're okay. I think this cell's going to rotate and just rotate by you. Savannah, let's play this into motion or walk through it for us so we can kind of get a good, there it is. So it's really headed, so let's track this from here back toward Betty and Gilmer. That looks like that's probably the best track that we're going to get on that. And then you can see we get outside of the area that the radar can really see what's going on once we get into those purple areas. So, all right, so that's headed toward Diana, Betty, Brumley, Pittsburgh, Mount Pleasant, and Mount Vernon if it were to hold together this entire time. So that's going to be moving into Upshur. Gilmer's also included in this. We're not seeing Gilmer in here, but Diana's right at where this storm is right now. But then Gilmer, Betty, and then on up toward Pittsburgh's just outside. But Pittsburgh, I would say you need to be in your safe place currently. Go to your safe place. Brumley, you need to be in your safe place also. And when we talk about safe place, I know we say it a lot, and hopefully we're going to say it again a few more times. Looks like it just tightened up a little bit more here, just as it crossed 259 southwest of Ore City. I think Ore City, you are on the edge, but I don't think this storm's going to suddenly turn back to the right. It's going to keep coming back to the northwest. So Gilmer would be my main concern in any areas outside to the east of Gilmer for this tornado warn storm. And at one point, Weather Service was calling it considerable radar confirmed. So that's why it doesn't have, like you're seeing the hatch marks here, that was spotted by a trained spotter and or law enforcement. This is just radar confirmed, but no one has been able to put eyeballs on it and say, yeah, definitely it's happening. But the radar signature that they're seeing indicates it's strong enough that it is either or has produced a spin up from time to time. So that's just crossed over 259 in parts of Upshur County and continues moving back toward Gilmer. That's right along 154. So if you live on 154 headed out of Gilmer, have a business out there, time to head to your shelter. Okay, so back to your shelter. What are we talking about? We're talking about that most interior room without any windows or as few windows as possible. And it's got to be on the lower floor. And hopefully if you live, say, on a second floor of an apartment and you're like, well, what do I do? Well, do you know anybody on the first floor? Because that would be a really good idea to get down there and ask them if you can just hang out there till the storm passes. And then a closet, inside a closet without windows, or a bathroom that might be inside of the apartment or house or something of that nature. I was in a house one time where there was a kitchen, and the kitchen ended up being the most interior room of the house. There were some windows, but they were in another room, and the kitchen ended up being the best place. And if the windows had broken, at least you'd be far enough inside the house. And we had at least 8 walls, if not 7 walls, between us and the outside. So the idea is to put as many walls between you and the outside when you're in a tornado warning, because if those walls cave in, but you are in an interior room and you are sheltered from the storm, you will live through the storm. And it's the best thing to do. And again, you don't want to be in your car. If you're listening on the radio and you're in your car, best thing to do then is to try to find, a gas station that's got a sturdy shelter. If you can, and you know that the storm is, you're not driving into the storm, but the storm is to your right or to your left, and it's not coming toward you, or if it's not cutting in front of you, is to just either turn and go the other way, or just simply drive faster than the storm because you can. Today would be a different story. Today's sort of like one of these days where you might not be able to drive out of all of what we're in right now because we're in such widespread rain and wind across the region. but typically I would tell you that. So the best thing to do is to be sheltered up, and hopefully a lot of folks just stayed at home and they've just hunkered down through this day today. But that cell itself, again, tornado warned storm until 3:45 for both of these, Cass Harrison in Marion County, and then Camp Gregg Harrison in Upshur County. And can we go up to, I want to see which portion of Camp County is on this, because I'm not real sure it's that. So there's some belief that that cell is going to be turning back to the north or northwest, and I think it's headed more toward Gilmer and back here to the northwest. Let's pan that up and see if we can see that a little bit better. So yeah, it could come up, it could catch Camp County, but I think it's going to catch Camp on the southwestern corner. I think this storm is more headed toward Gilmer or north of Gilmer. But it does look like it's weakened just a little bit, at least on that latest scan. So east of Shreveport, there is a pretty powerful storm over there. So we bring those up because those cells in Louisiana have been rotating back into parts of East Texas. And so even though they have been forming over there in these areas and seem to be out of play, the rotation around the upper level, or rotation of Beryl, has been taking these back toward Texas. And another one here at Jefferson is one of those cells that has done that. And now this cell here at Gilmer looks like it's weakened just a little bit. But now we have a new flash flood warning that is in effect in that purple area. That does include Gregg County, western parts of Harrison County. That's also going to be a large portion of Upshur County, and that goes into Smith County. So now we have a flash flood warning for parts of Smith County, and then that goes all the way back into southern Smith. And then, so I'm not sure, are we just looking at the closest radar site, or why are we popping the purple there? But just looking at that. Okay, so let's reset the table here. We're at 3:15 on Monday, and we've had several tornado warnings, some damage. We'll see if we can get some more reports of damage for you, but we know that we've had damage out of the Appleby area, north and northwestern parts of Nacogdoches County, trees down across parts of Angelina County, city of Lufkin, roads closed because of trees down, so telling folks to stay off the roads down there. And we've also seen several different spin-ups within parts of Gregg County, and also over here into, I know of Timpson. There's reports that there's damage in Timpson from a tornado that was over in that area and moved back to the west earlier today. One of those cells that we tracked out to the east, and these multiple cells here. So just a really active afternoon for sure. All right, let's toss it back over and to Sarah and Savannah and see what you guys have going on right now.
Okay, well, it does look like, oh, I turned the wrong thing off. It does look like, once again, we still have some of these strong storms that are moving through the area. We've got lots of flood warnings going on, like Brett was talking about. You can see those highlighted there in the purple. Smith County, Cherokee County, Nacogdoches County, Rusk County, Gregg, Upshur, just so many areas just have these flood warnings because of all the rain. So before we get back to the tornado warnings, we did want to just mention that if you have any high water, like Brett said earlier today, if you were with us at that point, we've already seen rescues down in South Texas being made. It is very easy for your car to get swept away, or if you were walking out in high water, to get knocked over. So make sure that you're staying out of any high water that you see. Turn around, definitely don't drive through any high water. And try not to drive at all at this time. If you can stay home, that's the best option to do right now, as we've got very gusty winds out there in some of these cells. Tornado warnings, of course, we do have a tornado watch still in effect until 10 p.m. for most of East Texas. And just lots of cells right now that have produced some damage, and stronger cells as well. So we still have these storms that Brett was just mentioning up towards Gilmer, just moving its way out of Longview. We also have that cell that's just moving towards Jefferson with that confirmed tag on it. I'm going to switch now over to velocity, because that's been helping us really see how tight these storms are rotating recently. You can see both the one towards Gilmer and Ore City and the one in Jefferson looking like they've weakened in the past scan. So that is good news, but still that does not mean that you can go out and disregard the tornado warning. So both of those tornado warnings do go until 3:45. So we've got exactly another 30 minutes from now that you've got to stay in your safe place, because we've seen these tornado warnings be dropped and then pop right back up because these storms are just weakening or strengthening back up after they weaken. So it's possible that this storm that we've been tracking towards Jefferson and towards Gilmer, although they're weakening right now, it's very possible that they could strengthen back up again. So if you're in this polygon, until we get word and until we say that it's been dropped, you definitely want to stay in your safe place. So if you're in Gilmer, that still is you. You can still see that there's a little bit of a tighter color there. If you're in Betty, I know we talked about that area as well, or City, you're right on the edge. It's probably best to just stay in your safe place at this time. Jefferson, you're in that other tornado warning that Brett was talking about earlier with that confirmed tag on it. The rotation has really weakened at this time, but you can still see it moving in that last scan, still some green and red in there, although it's not as bright. We definitely want to be able, or definitely want you to stay in your safe place, because this is about to move right over the Jefferson area. And I'll zoom in more on this area as well. It's going right towards Highway 59 Baldwin. It's going right over that area. Highway 49, it's moving towards you as well. Let's see, I just saw some towns. Let's see if I can get those back up just in a second, but it's moving up towards the Jefferson area once again. Berea, Prospect, it's moving towards you as well. So make sure that if you're in any of those areas that you are staying safe. Uncertain, you're right on the edge and the backside of this polygon, so it's probably safe for you to come out now, but we want to make sure, once again, some of these storms can spit up, and you still have storms off into Louisiana. Very strong signature over there towards the Benton area, just north of Eastwood in Louisiana. And like Brett mentioned earlier, these storms are spinning up to the north, but still spinning back to the northwest, which we don't really see very often. Usually with our regular storms, our everyday storms that we see during severe weather season, we see those move from the west to the east. And because of Beryl, that's what's spinning these storms up from the east towards the west this time. So we've seen a lot of these storms pop up. I'll widen this back out. Lots of ongoing tornado warnings in Louisiana. We've got 4 right now. We've got those ones for Harrison, Marion, and Cass County. We've also got this one towards Gilmer, and that is, again, for Upshur counties, the Longview area. It's also for Gregg and Harrison County. And then once again, we've got one just down towards Center in Nacogdoches County. This goes until 4 p.m. I think this one, or not Nacogdoches County, I'm sorry, Sabine, San Augustine, and Shelby County. So this one, I think, is actually a little bit newer. Must have popped just in the past couple of minutes. Let me check on the National Weather Service here and see if we have got anything that they have said. So I don't see anything specifically on that, but we do have, once again, I can see a bright area down towards Center where we're probably seeing some gusty winds as well. This is the tornado warning that I was just talking about. So if you're in Center, you want to make sure that you're in your safe place as well, moving towards Highway 96. So you can see that bright area of rotation there. I'm going to try to click on it. Maybe we can sample some of those gustier winds. Oh, I got to take that tornado warning off really quick to see if we can possibly get a sample of how strong the winds are right around in this area. So possibly maybe 70 mile per hour velocity. So very strong winds in that area. I can see our Titan indicator just popped up as well, which would mean that that is strengthening back up. Wind impact, a 9.5, so almost a 10 there, although the tornado impact is low. So that does mean that we could be seeing some gustier winds like we just saw, strengthening back up in that area, and that's why the National Weather Service has put that tornado warning on that area. So I'll put the warning back on. You can see, once again, that goes until 4 p.m. It's headed towards Center. If you're in Timpson, it's not headed towards you. You're outside of this polygon for now. I know Timpson is one of those areas that we've had damage reported today. So you do have another storm down to your southeast, kind of moving in that direction, but right now you are not under the tornado warning for that storm. Once again, it is just out of, or just southeast of Center, strengthening up as well as our Titan indicator shows some of that rotation. So I'll kind of zoom out here. You can see all of the purples here on our map, and I'll put it back into reflectivity so we can kind of see what's going on as well, and take off that red color for you. That's our tornado watch. So zooming out, just taking this wide look, you see we've got lots of tornado warnings going on, lots of those flood warnings as well. Those are what's highlighted in purple, just taking up a lot of East Texas, and even further down in Jasper County still, and Newton County, we're seeing still tornado warnings that have been ongoing in those counties because of those bands that just keep moving through the area. And those can continue, like we've seen, to move up towards the north, and those would bump into San Augustine and Sabine County. So we'll continue to watch those down in deep East Texas as well, although they're not impacting our area just yet. It's something to keep our eye on. Like we've seen these storms continue to rotate, so even though they're in Louisiana or they're in deep East Texas, that doesn't mean that they could rotate back up into our area as well. Brett, do you have something?
Yeah, I wanted to take a look outside from one of our cameras. I think at the Tyler camera on South Broadway, or even outside our CBS 19 studio. The winds were just absolutely just whipping earlier. They don't look as bad there. I mean, the rain was just coming down. So if we have another view, there's going to be our Kilgore camera. So we're just seeing some of the strongest winds and some of the heaviest rain coming through right now. Just wanted to go over that. So I'm going to toss it over to Sarah. She's at the wall and tracking some of these storms here, including a couple of these still ongoing tornado warnings for about the next 24 minutes, Sarah.
Thanks, Brett. Yeah, we still have all of those tornado warnings in place across many parts of the Piney Woods. This tornado warning out toward Gilmer, that's going to go to 3:45. We had an observed tornado by a spotter or a local law enforcement official out toward Jefferson. This is going out toward Jefferson. That's going to go until 3:45 as well. If you take a look out over the Louisiana border, that's where we're seeing some of the strongest tornadoes. Those ones have been marked as considerable damage, and there's a chance these could rotate into our area. So make sure that you are staying weather aware, especially if you're out along the border or up to the north, closer to Bear Creek. But Jefferson, Woodlawn, Karnak, you need to make sure that you are in your safe place now as these storms are continuing to push up to the north. So if we could widen this out, I know that I saw a pretty solid rotation out towards center a little bit earlier. It was starting to there we go, starting to really try to suck in there. If we could take a zoomed in look and see our velocity, that way we can really figure out where that rotation is. So remember, if you're in center, you need to make sure that you are in your safe place now. East Hamilton, you're not necessarily in that box just yet, but you're right on the edge, so make sure that you are staying weather aware. Now, this rotation is staying pretty well defined out there. We're starting to see the blues, which means even gustier winds, higher wind gusts as this continues up to the northeast. So right now it's impacting Sabine, St. Augustine, and parts of Shelby County. If we could get a zoomed in look and see city by city kind of what we're looking at. Toward Choice, you guys are in this box. Shelbyville, it looks like that rotation is just on top of you right now. Make sure that you are staying in your safe place. We've said it about 1,000,000 times. That is going to be the lowest level of the building with the most interior room. If you can't get to that, make sure that you are putting as many walls between you and the outside as possible. Usually a bathroom or a closet is the best. If you can't get to that, just do the best you can and you're going to make it through. Now, this is our turn right here. We're tracking this Titan indicator. It's moving up to the northeast, to the north, about 22 miles per hour. We'll, of course, continue to keep you updated over the next little bit. Our anchor, Mariah Condiff, has some updates. Mariah?
All right, thank you, Sarah. Now, we are about to hop on the phone real quick with the Chief Deputy Craig Harrington from Gregg County Sheriff's Office to get a better idea of what we're seeing out there as we have crews heading to that area right now. But we do want to get an update of any types of reports or damages that we're seeing so far out in Gregg County once again. So we are going to dial in with Chief Deputy Craig Harrington. Craig, are you joining us right now?
Yes, ma'am, I'm here.
All right, good afternoon. Thank you so much. Chief Harrington, what exactly are we seeing so far in Gregg County? We've been hearing different things, different reports, but what have you seen so far?
Well, we've been on the phone here lately with our EOC. We stood up our EOC a couple hours ago. We got guys sitting there at the Emergency Operations Center communicating with us. They reported a tornado on the ground that was north of Tatum in the Hallsville area of Harrison County. It was going to be heading towards the Judson area. I think we got fortunate there, and it dissipated before it actually impacted Gregg County. But other than severe wind, it started to knock down some trees. We're getting reports of roadways getting closed. We've been able to clear them so far, so we're able to mitigate what we've had at this point in time, but we are expecting a lot more rain, a lot more wind coming.
Definitely. And you mentioned some closed roadways due to maybe some downed trees. Do you have a list of those so that we can report that to viewers that might be heading home today?
Well, right now, like I said, we've been able to mitigate everything that has come our way. We've had some trees reported down on the FM 2087 area around Kilgore and the 149 area around Lakeport East and in the southern part of Gregg County.
All right. With this confirmed, Brett and the weather team, confirmed tornado from you guys as well. He's saying there was a report of a tornado. Is that confirmed for you guys?
Yeah,
as
Weather
well?
Service was saying there was a considerable tornado confirmed by radar.
Radar, okay.
Yeah, they never said somebody saw it, but there was enough indication on radar that the cell was strong enough that they believe it was a tornado.
Okay, so believed tornado for sure, Chief Harrington. Have you guys had to do any situations pertaining to any rescues or saving people from being maybe trapped inside homes or anything like that yet?
None that has been reported to us, but obviously we're prepared in case that happens.
Perfect. And how long are you guys going to be kind of on standby, waiting and assessing for any more damage reports out there?
We're prepared to work this event all night and in through midday tomorrow.
All right. Thank you so much, Chief Harrington. And we are going to go ahead and send things over back to our CBS 19 weather team on this Weather Impact Day, which was formerly known as an Eye on Weather Day. Sarah, back to you.
Thank you, Mariah. Well, we're tracking a very organized rotation out towards Shelbyville. If you're in Shelbyville, you're under a tornado warning. Make sure that you are in your safe place right now. We are seeing a pretty high tornado impact on this. It's coming in at a 9 on a scale of 10. So organized rotation. If we can clear this off and maybe step by step through so you can see what that rotation is doing. Right now, we weren't really seeing much a little bit ago, but it's starting to tighten up pretty quickly. As you can just watch it start to tighten up out here. It's just to the south of center. There it is. It's heading up toward Flat Fork. And there it is between center and toward Camp T. Make sure you are staying in your safe place while we have this tornado warning in effect. We were watching our wind on this. It's coming in very dangerous. We're seeing lots of rotation. It's tracking up to the north at about 50 miles per hour, so we can give you a bit of a timeline on that and you can get ahead of it. Remember, if you are in a warning, you need to make sure that you are in your safe place. That's a tornado warning. I've said it about 1 million times and I'm going to say it again. Respect the polygon. So this product that you're looking at now is showing you which way the wind is going. That helps us see the rotation. Out towards center where you can see this very light green area, that's where we're starting to see that rotation really tighten up. So it's heading up to the northwest out towards center. It'll get to you closer to 330. Pine Hill closer to 411. Chapman closer to 415. Henderson, if it holds, you guys are out of that particular warning, closer to 430. Make sure that you are staying weather aware through the rest of the afternoon because we have the potential for lots of tornadoes as this continues to go through. Can we switch back to our debris tracker on this to see if anything has been kicked up into the air? And it looks like, okay, I'm starting to see some of the blues out there, which means that we might be seeing a bit of debris from some buildings. And based off of how tight that rotation is, there's a potential that that tracks. This is going to continue to move up to the north. So center, make sure that you are staying in your safe place now. Flat Fork, you as well. A TDS? Yeah. Alrighty, so TDS, that is a tornado debris signature. I got that in from our chief meteorologist just a second ago. That's going to continue to move up to the north. So definitely, based off of our radar, it appears that we have very much a likely tornado out of this. Now, we have nothing confirmed from the ground or from the National Weather Service, just radar indicated, but still, Flat Fork, make sure you are in your safe place as well. This could have lofted some debris up as well. This is continuing to move up to the northeast. We have that tornado warning going until about 4 o'clock for this box that is highlighted, but there's a chance that it could get extended as we see this continue up to the northeast, or I should say the northwest. Now, another tornado warning just to the south of Tatum, to the north of Henderson. This one's going to go until 4:15. We can get a closer look, some cities that are in there. Again, you want to make sure that you are in your safe place. Right now, we're not seeing any debris out there, but we could see some rotation. In a second, we'll just switch over to our velocity tracker, which can tell us if we're seeing that rotation and if it is intensifying or not. Now, I'm seeing a little bit of rotation out there just to the south of Tatum. It doesn't look like it's anything quite as organized as the cell that we were seeing in center. I'm going to toss things over to our chief meteorologist, Brett Anthony, to see if he has any updates on it. Brett?
Yeah, we just got that new tornado warning that went till 4:15, and that again was Gregg, Panola, Rusk County that just dropped. And of course, that's surrounded by a group of flash flood warnings that are also in effect. And then we've been tracking, of course, this tornado warning till 3:45 for Camp Gregg, Harrison, and Upshur counties, and that continues. And then you were talking about this other cell that we've been tracking over toward the Jefferson area, and that in toward Lodi and toward Berea. So that's just, that cell itself looks like it's a wider circulation at this time, but it did have a history of producing some damage, I believe, in the Timpson area. So as that continues working northwestward toward Avenger and Lanier and eventually into Cass County and up toward Linden and eventually all the way up toward Bowie County. So that cell has had a lot of history of doing some damage, though right now it does not appear to be in a stage where it would be doing some damage. I just want to take a look outside again, just because at this point here in Tyler, we are getting probably hit with about as hard a wind as we've been hit all day. And there you go. So you're looking south on Broadway, and I'll go back to, I'll switch back to reflect. We'll come back out to that in just a second. But essentially what we're looking at when we look at these heavy rain bands, this is what's creating the flash flooding. And if you look at Tyler and White House and Brownsboro and Moore Station and up toward Lindale and Gilmer and Laneville, these are where you can see how this is just now, it's just going to sit on top of us. So if this was a winter storm, this would be the area of heaviest snow because this is essentially a large low pressure area. It's what a hurricane or a tropical storm is. It has some of the same characteristics in that on this northwest side, on this comma head side, this is where all the moisture and the warm air aloft will pool. And so that will, of course, condense, and then that will fall. And so your heaviest rain is going to occur north and west of the center of low pressure in a tropical system. The tropical system's identity itself looks like as if it's weakening a little bit. It's pretty well defined as it moves into Nacogdoches County, but look how it consolidates. And if you want to know what I'm talking about here, I'll pause it a second and walk back through that. So let me go back here to right there, okay? So let's draw this in for you. Look how well defined, this is the center of Beryl, right there. Look how well defined it still is as it approaches Lufkin. I mean, there may have been an area of clear air down there. I'm not there, but there may have been, the sky could have cleared much of the way it does with a hurricane. That's just such a well-defined, almost eye wall still. And then as it moves northward, it starts to fill in. So the storm is starting, I think, now to take on some extra tropical characteristics. That's good, but it also means that all of those storms that we see out to the east, that line that's marching into Louisiana, could still spin up a tornado warning or two. So we've got to watch all that for sure. All right, so we still have that tornado watch that's in effect on top of all of the other watches and warnings that are ongoing at this time. So let me pause so you can see the warning. So really it's about flash flood warnings. It looks like, okay, let's go back through. We still have the Upshur County tornado warning, the Gregg County tornado warning. That's going until 4:15. There's two of them there, 3:45 and then 4:15 for that second cell that is down into southern parts of Gregg County and then into Rusk County. So numerous warnings continue. We have had reports of damage. Mariah Cundiff was just talking about how they had reports of damage in Gregg County, in the Longview area, east of Longview. They think near Hallsville, they had some reports of damage. Fortunately, as that storm approached Judson, it seemed to weaken enough that they escaped any kind of considerable damage in that area. There's the storm that Sarah was talking about towards center that had taken on some, it was rotating strongly. In fact, there's a confirmed tornado with that now toward Flat Fork, up toward Gary City, up toward Carthage. So for about the third time this afternoon, Carthage is going to go back into a tornado warning up toward Grand Bluff and DeBary. And now it looks like it's been extended back to the southwest toward Choice and Drecka. So now we've got even a longer till 4:15 on those tornado warnings, and then the one that is confirmed till 4:15, and then back here toward Gregg, Panola, and Rusk County till 4:15. So all of these, again, if you're in Carthage, there's time. It's time to go, and you've spent basically the whole afternoon in your safe place, and we just kind of need you to continue to ride out these tornado warnings in those locations, including Gary City, including Center. And you can see on our Titan indicator, we're getting in those orange areas northeast of Shelbyville. So Sarah showed you how it was southwest of Shelbyville. Now that rotation has jumped back to the northeast of Shelbyville. So on that Titan indicator, I'll click on this and give you a look at what we're looking at inside the storm. So it's still a 9.3 tornado impact. That's very high. For usually if we see something that high, we have a tornado on the ground doing damage. That warning goes until 4 p.m. on that tornado warning. We have seen some wind impacts almost up to a 10 and the flooding impact up to a 4. The storm is moving north according to our Titan indicator at 40 miles an hour. The Weather Service is tracking most of these at about 50 miles an hour. So these will continue to move up to the northeast. Between Campty and Center up toward Flat Fork, and here's another new tornado warning. This one's going to be on the eastern side of the north end of Toledo Bend. So it's a dangerous day to be down on Toledo Bend, down on Sam Rayburn, or any East Texas lake as these storms all move to the north. So let me currently, if I look at this, and I'm going to go back here to our reflectivity product, and when I do, what we'll end up looking at is, oops, okay, let me go back to this one. All right, I'm going to turn off. All right, so count with me. I'm going to go through all of these tornado warnings. The one that in Upshur, Gregg, and now Franklin County. So Franklin County's in that. That goes until 4:15. Then you've got Harrison and Marion County, and that one also until roughly 4 or 4:15. At this point, it's just safer to stay in your safe place until we give you the all clear than to try to be specific on these storms. You've got one now again in Shelby County, San Augustine County, and this one is going to go until, I believe, I'm going to click on it because it may go till 5 o'clock now. That's going till 4 o'clock. So we still have warnings going on till 4 o'clock, 4:15 off to the southwest, and then a myriad of flash flood warnings for all the counties that you see in purple. So Smith County has portions of Smith County included in flash flood warnings, southwestern Rusk, northern Nacogdoches, and then those other tornado warnings. So just kind of a crazy afternoon. I'm going to come back over here and point out some of these storms for us here. So again, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So we have seven tornado warnings ongoing right now. So best thing to do, unless you're in Smith County, unless you're in Wood County or Cherokee County or Nacogdoches County, best thing now to do would just be go to your shelter, stay there for about the next hour or 2 hours until all of this, the center of the low pressure area now near Nacogdoches, until that lifts northward and gets north of Interstate 20. It may take until the evening, but when it does, then our threat will dramatically decrease. Remember, we went in the day with an enhanced risk of tornado or severe weather in our easternmost counties. So that included Bowie, Cass, Marion, Harrison, Panola, Shelby, all the way down San Augustine, Sabine, and it may have even included portions of Rusk and Gregg County. So all of those areas were in the enhanced risk of severe weather, and they were then put under a tornado watch. And so the worst part of this storm, the strongest side of the storm, the eastern side of the storm, the way it's tracking, and it is tracking sort of right up here, and it looks like it's going to come right over Longview, so just to the southeast of Tyler, which is pretty much the path that the last few runs from the National Hurricane Center had this storm on. Over the weekend, it was right over Tyler, and then it shifted to the southeast a little bit, and it's kind of held that path and that track in the prediction since about Saturday afternoon. And so that's exactly how it's played out. So we knew that we were going to be seeing at least the threat of tornadoes east of the storm, and certainly we're seeing that. We are seeing several tornado warnings. So let's go back to velocity and track through all of these again, and we'll start on that cell there. And as we go back to the velocity products here, again, a lot of brights showing up. So what does that tell me? It tells me you got a lot of wind aloft, perhaps being transferred down to the surface. Not seeing a lot of couplets, but that doesn't mean that we can't possibly have something that would spin up real fast. The hatched areas, that's where at least a trained storm spotter or a trained National Weather Service operator or someone who is knows what they're looking for, has seen something and has confirmed a tornado, at least in those areas that are hatched. And then the other areas here, back into northern Rusk County, let's zoom down on some of those areas and see what we're dealing with. Again, it just looks like there's a lot of wind, some strong winds closer to the center of the circulation, and then center itself north of Shelbyville. That has been a very strong signal. In fact, it looks like it's almost moving away from our tight.
Nothing is more important than protecting our beloved road.
The moment is upon us. Kill or be killed.
It looks like most of the counties are in those warnings. I would head to the safe place, especially if you're in the eastern half of Shelby County and you live near center. If you live near Carthage to the east, you need to head to your safe place. If you live in Henderson or north of Henderson, you need to be in your safe place. And then you've got flash flooding that's also occurring. And so this storm system is not only creating the threat of tornadoes, it's also creating the threat that you have deep water that you try to drive through, and then the possibility of drowning becomes a real issue. So you need to avoid driving through deep water. All right, so Sarah, let's zoom in on all of these areas. Let's just walk through this until we've got these tornado warnings till 4:15. Again, any one of these areas here, it looks like there could be a quick spin up, though it doesn't look, and I don't know if you'll agree with me, it doesn't look as impressive as we saw earlier when that one storm was moving east of Longview in the Judson area.
Brett, I'm not necessarily seeing that same, because that was a very well-defined rotation. This one is coming in much less defined and broader, so it doesn't appear that it's as intense as we saw a little bit ago. But still, we have that tornado warning in place. Even though the rotation isn't as strong, please stay in your safe place while that tornado warning is still in place. Again, that's for Gregg, Panola, and Rusk counties, so part of the counties. Kilgore, you are now under a tornado warning. Overton, you're just on the edge, and that's stretching back out toward Beckville. Beckville is under another tornado warning, which has had a spotted tornado with it, either by a trained storm spotter, by the National Weather Service, or by a local law enforcement official. Right, Brett?
Yes. Let's go to the debris trackers and see if there's any debris out there. Okay, so near Gary City, so this is why you're getting, we need to stay on that one for a while. That's the one that you were tracking, I think, that was coming out of center and then moving up to the northwest. So this one has some damage affiliated with it, north of Tenaha. So this one's going to track back toward Carthage, so we need to stay with this one. Everywhere else, I'm not seeing debris, but if you have debris, you know that you've had damage, and you know the damage has been lofted into the atmosphere. So that's toward Carthage at 352. Please, if you live in Carthage, back to your safe place. Beckville, back to your shelter until 4 o'clock at least. Tatum, 407. Easton, 415. Hallsville, again, 422. Longview, 428. So believe it or not, Longview, you could go back into another tornado warning before the afternoon is said and done. And that's going to be right on that debris signature that we are seeing near Gary City. So we'll zoom in on Gary City, give you a look at that northern end of Gary City, maybe give you an idea of some of the streets. Again, those green areas are not rain. That is not sleet or hail or anything like that. That is likely some sort of material that is not precipitation. So again, it could be tree limbs, it could be branches, it could be metal sheets. It could be shingles off a house. It could be a lot of things like that. But that's what we're looking at there in that Gary City storm. And then that's why we've got those hatch marks there, because that tells us that there is someone has sighted or seen a tornado. All right, so let's pick this up a little bit, or zoom this up to the top just a little bit, and maybe go into a little bit tighter on that east side of Highway 59. So there's a chance that the way the storms are rotating, that some of this moisture or some of these winds are just blowing this back across 59 toward Buncombe and staying south of Carthage. But the whole circulation could be headed up toward Carthage and away from Delray. So that's a real possibility. All right, so I'm going to see this in the middle of the screen if possible. Yeah, there's Tenaha and there's Paxton, and this let's just hold on this for a little bit. Again, notice how little lightning there is. There's just not a ton of lightning with these tropical spin-ups. They're not truly they're thunderstorms in a sense that there's thunder and there's lightning, but they're not what we typically see when we have some supercellular thunderstorms where there is a large amount of lightning. And when the lightning's increasing, we know that the ice inside the storm is increasing. We know the updrafts inside the storm is increasing. And so when we know all that, then we start to get a feeling that one of these could become tornadic. In this instance, there's not a lot of lightning. The winds are just turning the little, if you want to call them supercells, they'd be small little supercells, but they're spinning up little tornadoes so fast, and that some of these are producing damage. And then the best thing we have right now going on, being able to tell where these things are, is by looking at the little bit of this tornadic debris signature that shows up. So this is getting lofted and continues to move in the direction of wherever the storm is headed. And so we'll get another scan here in just a little bit. We'll see. Now, likely, it looks like this has been sort of being blown out, and so the debris will probably start to settle back down to the ground, so we won't see it on the radar as much as what we've seen. But that just tells us that near Gary City, there's likely some damage. All right, so if you are in Gary City, hopefully you've been staying in your safe place. So from here, from Gary City, let's track these. These storms are moving north and northwest about 50 miles an hour. So Sarah's going to put the path on that and tell you when it's going to get to Carthage. So that cell is going to move through Carthage, and it's going to likely happen in about 11 minutes. So 11 minutes from now, if you live in Carthage, expect some very, I'm going to say, dangerous looking clouds. They could be scrubbing the ground. There could be a small tornado that moves through quickly. It could be nothing and then spin up a tornado. Beckville about 407, Tatum 415, and we just went over this before, Easton 422, and then Hallsville, Longview, and Harleton, which have all already been under a tornado warning and have all seen a little bit of damage. This very strong cell could track over those same areas once again, back toward Carthage, back toward Tatum, back toward Longview. So we're waiting for that new scan. It should update here any minute. We'll see exactly and get a better feel for the direction and the movement. But right now, if we followed along the path of the polygon, then we'd have a storm that's moving generally north-northwest, about 50 miles an hour over toward the Tatum area. And if it held together and stayed as strong as it is, it would head all the way to Longview, and that would happen by about 4:30. That's 45 minutes from now. So hopefully we can give you enough time if you live in Longview, heading back to your shelter, getting some stuff together. Again, if you live in a mobile home, the best thing to do is to evacuate that mobile home and find sturdier shelter. If you know somebody that's driving north or south on Interstate 20 trying to come back from Dallas or come from Shreveport, you want them to probably stop where they are until the storm passes. And also, once they stop, they need to exit their vehicle and find some sturdy shelter. If it's a gas station, if it's a restaurant, someplace where they can shelter in place. If it's a grocery store, but someplace that's got better shelter than being out on the road exposed to the elements, exposed to the winds, exposed to the rain, exposed to all the things that could possibly fall in their way, especially when you're dealing with a tropical storm that's moving through. We can hear the wind here just buffeting the tops of our building, and there's a new scan. So get a new scan. It does look like that tornado debris signature has sort of scoured out a little bit, so it's starting to spread out. So perhaps the tornado has has lifted. You can see this as we see how it's kind of running. So it's sort of lengthening out, which means that the winds itself created the damage. We had the signature, and now that signature is spreading out. So the next time we see that signature, we should see less and less of it. We'll see if another one pops up, which would indicate that there might be some new damage somewhere else. But again, those tornado warnings are ongoing, and that is the city of Carthage and DeBary and Gary City till 4:15. And then you've got another one farther southwest on the Louisiana side till 4:15. And then from there going eastward, and again, Tatum is not in that, Pine Hill is not included in that, but western parts of Panola County, northern Rusk, and right up to, I think, just west of Longview. Kilgore, however, is included in that tornado warning till 4:15. So Kilgore is in one of the latest tornado warnings to be issued. In fact, if we got the Kilgore camera up, let's take a look at that real quick. And you can see the rain continues. It does not look super rainy right now, so they might be in between. I'm just looking to see if there's the flag there. It looks like the wind kind of hitting it there. Let's take another look from our Broadway camera. We're looking south toward the bands of rain coming in and the heaviest rain coming in. You can see the rain not necessarily falling gently, but almost like it's falling horizontally across the screen, and the visibility is reduced. There's some spray from cars on the roadways. We have parts of southern Smith County in flash flood warnings. The wind is also just bumping that camera around, and even more so now. So we're getting some strong wind gusts. We've had wind gusts estimated by our radar up to 80 miles an hour in some of those areas where we've seen damage. We've seen run-of-the-mill gusts 35 to 40 miles an hour. I pretty much think a lot of this is happening as expected. We'll see about the rainfall rates. You know, admittedly, I had a graphic that I put out over the weekend that had some isolated 10-inch spots for rainfall. And while that's possible, I always say when I show those graphics never to marry those cities to those numbers because it can shift around, but we use it as guidance. But a lot of people were like, Gilmer, 10 inches of rainfall. Well, it might not happen in Gilmer, but it might be 8.5 inches. So it's going to be close to those numbers somewhere, and it might only be 1 or 2, but that's an indication that there was the potential for very heavy rainfall with the system. And it's not over yet. I mean, it's 4 o'clock. This system probably doesn't wind down, at least for Longview, Tyler, until about 11 o'clock tonight. So it's another 7 hours. Let's go back to the radar. And on radar again, tornado warnings continue until 4:15. We have been tracking that one cell. It's been very dangerous. It's been that cell that has been moving toward Gary City and now moving up toward Carthage. So we'll go back to our debris tracker. And the reason we're going to use this is because it's giving us the best indication of where those rotations are. We've been looking at a lot of the rotation within a lot of those cells, and what's ended up happening is that there's so many quick spin-ups that perhaps we're just missing that in-between scans, or they're just so small that you can't see. These are not large tornadoes, but any tornado can do damage, and then it just throws up that debris signature to where you can see it. And that's the best bet we have to identify where there's some solid rotation, and that now is moving under the northwest side of Carthage. So let's zoom in on that. And again, there's a little lightning strike there. So we are hearing just a little bit of lightning. This might be getting a little bit stronger because of the lightning out toward Buncombe and Delray. So if you're in Delray, if you're in Carthage, please be in your safe place right now. We'll just say it over and over again. There's nothing better than to listen to a warning, head to your shelter, ride out the storm, listen to one of our Alpha Media radio partners. Of course, we've got Jack FM 106.5. We've got The Ranch 104.1 and 103.7, and then Kicks 105.7 and La Visora 96.7. And so we certainly appreciate them broadcasting our signal through to some radio stations. If you're driving in your car, you can hear the coverage, or if you're in your closet, you can also just listen to the coverage. If perhaps your cell phone died, or you didn't have a chance to, you forgot to bring it in with you and you had a radio or something in there. It just gives you more than one way to listen to the coverage. All right, so Delray right now toward Buncombe, that's where potentially the worst of the rotation is. But we can double check that by looking at what we call our velocity product, or our wind tracker. So the wind tracker is going to show the precipitation particles that are blowing toward the radar and away from the radar, and then it derives that and it says this is the way the wind is moving. This could be a very difficult product to use today because there's just a lot of wind from this tropical storm system, and you can see that over Carthage right now. So Carthage is seeing a lot of wind. It could be straight line wind, but again, with that debris tracker out there, that tells us that there is a possibility some of this is going to be hitting the ground. All right, so might as well just drill on down into Carthage on that west side and see. There's another. So we've got Panola Street, Holland Quarters, Ryderville, and I would imagine Ryderville right now is seeing some of that debris around that area. If we go back to the debris tracker and maybe just kind of float around with the debris tracker. So Holland Quarters. So if you're in Holland Quarters, I especially want you to be in your safe place. But if you're anywhere in the Carthage area, Beckville again. So Beckville, this is like the third time I think we were telling you to go to your safe place. And Tatum, maybe the third time that we want you to head to your safe place. And Grand Bluff. All right, so there it is. More debris now tracking over Beckville. So it looks like we still have something on the ground in the Beckville area. Tatum, you're up next. Please go to your safe place. Did this tornado warning just get expanded up to the north of here, or it looks like it did? Nope, that's a different cell that went that way. All right, we have Savannah Hale standing by with some information. Savannah, we're hearing more reports of damage.
Yeah, so this is actually, we have some video from Appleby earlier. This is some of the damage that we're seeing. You can see this is what Dan showed us if you were with us earlier, just some considerable damage from one of those reported tornadoes that went through the Appleby area. So this is in Nacogdoches County. A lot of damage there. You can see just some of those buildings destroyed, roofs ripped off, just a lot of damage thrown around, signs just completely ripped off of buildings. So a lot going on, things tossed over cars. I know we heard some reports in Timpson as well, but you can see this gas station hit, just a lot happening. Debris was tossed all over the place, and we did have some of this on our radar as we were watching this move through the Appleby area, and the National Weather Service did confirm, but you can just see lots of that damage and just heavy rainfall moving through that area as well. I know we also have a tornado that we were talking about in our Beaumont area, so we have some video from our Beaumont station. You can see this was sent in from a video of just a viewer took on their phone, and you can see that tornado just kind of spinning throughout the air. Now, we weren't tracking this one since it was in the Beaumont area, but this is one of those cells that has probably moved north and is one of those tornado warnings that we have been watching. So this is, again, from our Beaumont area, and we've got another video from Frankston as well. This is the dam at the Frankston Dam. You can see just overflowing with so much water just pouring over that. So much water has been in the area that it's just spilling over the dam right now, causing a lot of flooding. So once again, if you're in one of those areas, look at all that flooding. Stay out of the water. If you see high water like that, you don't want to be in one of those areas. Thankfully, this person was from a far away spot, so they were able to get that footage for us in a safe location. But again, just a lot of flooding going on out there, a lot of damage that we've seen in some of those areas as well. We still have tornado warnings that are continuing, and those flood warnings that are continuing. In the purple there, those are our flood warnings, and the red are our tornado warnings. Those going until 4:15 so far haven't been extended, but we're going to continue to watch some of those as well. Again, lots of rainfall, lots of heavy winds. We've got those ongoing tornado warnings, and like we mentioned earlier, as some of those die down, it's very possible that they can spin right back up. So if you're in one of those polygons, and we mentioned maybe the rotation broadening or not looking as bright, that doesn't mean that you can disregard the polygon. We want you to stay in your safe place. Again, we don't want you to end up in one of those areas with damage like we saw in Appleby. We've also got crews headed out to the Longview area when it's a safe time. They're not going just yet. We want to make sure that they're in a safe place, but we are going to be checking and seeing if there's any damage from that cell that we watched move through the Longview area also. So we're going to continue with you on these next tornado warnings we've got, once again going until 4:15, and of course all the rainfall and flooding. We can hear it just coming down at the studio here. Lots of rain and wind, although there's no tornado warnings in the Smith County area right now. I'm going to toss it back over to Brett Anthony, who might have more updates for us also.
Yeah, we're just continuing to watch the radar, and Sarah is Sarah Blue is just kind of drilling down on some of these cells. We're trying to find, for instance, areas of where there's damage being lofted into the air. It looks around Logansport like there could be some there. And then when you look at the hatch marks, then you know that at least somebody has seen a tornado. So it gets confirmed not only by radar, but also by a spotter, by a human. And when you get human eyes on a storm like that, then you have more confidence that, of course, that is happening. Until then, you're basically relying on your knowledge, what you know, what the radar is telling you, what the radar is indicating. Sometimes the radar signatures can look absolutely like there is a tornado there, and then there's not, just because it's simply off the ground. So it can see into the middle part of that thunderstorm or into the middle part of the rotation, as we're seeing this afternoon, but nothing is actually reaching the ground. But when we see these little, what we call TDS or tornadic debris signatures, we know something has been torn up and it's been tossed into the air, and likely that is the cause of that is going to be a tornado. So there may have been and still may be one toward Beckville. So if you live in Beckville and you haven't taken your tornado precaution yet, you need to do that right now, because that storm is right on you. In fact, it might even be starting to move out of Beckville and moving over toward Tatum. Logansport, this is another one of these cells that we've been watching, and a lot of these have been, maybe 4 or 5, have been in Louisiana and have rotated back into Panola County or Shelby County, and then back into Harrison, and then in some instances up into Marion County, and a couple of those have even rotated all the way back into Gregg County, and one rotated all the way back into Upshur. So we've had these instances where these cells have started out far to the southeast because of the nature, again, big counterclockwise area of low pressure, what a tropical storm essentially is. And so they basically throw all that moisture from the south to the north and then back to the northwest. In fact, there's the center of Beryl right now, just south of Tyler. And you can see all these tornadoes. So out here, probably, and notice it's not where we're seeing, this is, I would say, more traditional of what I'm accustomed to in terms of cold fronts coming through, and what we get are what we call line echo wave patterns. And in those little line echo wave patterns, you'll get little waves that form, and those begin to spin counterclockwise and can spin up small tornadoes. So that's kind of what we're seeing here as this moves now into Louisiana. So if we get rid of this part of the storm, we won't have to worry about that as much, but we're still going to have to worry about the right front quadrant of the storm itself, and still that rotation as it pulls that moisture and pulls those winds back toward the center. You can just see how they're rotating and they're pulling. So they're already naturally rotating. Now imagine if all they need is just a little extra spin, and then they spin up, and then you have a tornado that is on the ground. So that is what we've seen here this afternoon. So at least 3 of these warnings, and the strongest warnings appear to be over in the Shreveport area. This one is right on well, it looks like it's over in Louisiana, but it may move back into Panola County. So right now we have Panola, and we have a portion of Gregg and Rusk County still under those tornado warnings until 4:15. So we got about 12 minutes to go on these warnings here. And so what I'm telling you is in Gregg County, Rusk County, Panola, and Harrison County, you have to stay in your shelter for 12 more minutes. Elsewhere, where you see the purple, and there are tons of flash flood warnings, it is best to just not leave the house anyway because of the flash flood problems that you could run into. The high water, a foot of water moving a vehicle, knocking you off your feet if you tried to walk through it. It's not anything where, oh, the creek's high, I'm going to go play in it. No, don't do that. That could be deadly. I mean, that's how dangerous this kind of stuff is. And I know we sound like Debbie Downers on that, but seriously, you all need to just take care of yourselves and not try to go out and play in this kind of stuff. This is a serious situation. This doesn't happen but about every 15 years or so. So, yeah, this is a big-time storm, big historical moment in terms of a weather event in East Texas. So northern Rusk County, you got Panola County, and again, those storms are going to be moving from the north back to the northwest. Now, back up here toward Jefferson, there are some more tornado warnings. And I apologize if we haven't been able to get to everybody every time because we've just got so many warnings. But for instance, look at this one. From Jefferson, it's moving back to the northwest. It's moving back toward Morris County. So Camp County is just outside of that. So a little portion of Morris County is in this tornado warning till 4:30, and that was pretty much just issued. Now on this side, you've got this one that's in Louisiana, but it's rotating back into Cass County. And that's a pretty strong rotation. And that's a fairly strong rotation near Avenger and Linden. So those rotations could possibly kick up a quick tornado if they haven't already. So Avenger, Linden, Dangerfield, I would just head to my safe place and stay there until we get you it all clear. Atlanta, this cell may float back toward Atlanta, may rotate back